Thank you. He's actually right in now. How are you, Raya?
Thank you, Rabbi.
That is a miracle. That is a cafe, a Chabad Café, Kabbalah Café miracle, literally. So I want to start with saying a special l'chaim with my little Corona bottle, Absolute. And the reason why I'm saying l'chaim today, in addition to my other l'chaim, which is the same color, but it's really water. The reason why I'm saying l'chaim is because tonight is going to be a very special day in the Chabad calendar. Tonight is the birthday of the Rebbe Rashab. That we are learning his Chassidus every morning, his teachings, and the discourse of Viadata from 1896. And it's very special that we're able to celebrate the birthday of such a great tzaddik. Now, it's not just by chance that his birthday is on the 20th of Cheshvan, but moreover, there's a special connection between the Rebbe Rashab and this week's Parsha. This week's Parsha is called Vayera. If you learned your chitas this week, and if you listened to my video that we sent out yesterday, you would know about the parsha, and you still have a chance to read about the parsha before Shabbat and on Shabbat. Now, in the beginning, what does Vayera mean? The word Vayera means and he saw, and he showed himself. Hashem revealed himself to Avraham Avinu. Vayera Hashem al Avraham. It's coming as a continuation to the end of the previous parsha, where the Torah teaches us about how Avraham Avinu did a circumcision for himself at the age of 99. And he also did a circumcision for Yishmael. Yishmael was 13 years old at that age. Avraham did the circumcision for Yishmael. And Hashem revealed himself at the beginning of this week's parsha to Avraham on the third day after his circumcision, when that's the day which is most painful. We don't know exactly what it means that Hashem comes to visit someone, but let's rest assured that Avraham Avinu knew and appreciated Hashem's visit. And so the Rebbe Rashab, Rabbi Shalom Dovber, the fifth Rebbe of Chabad, came home one day. He was either 4 or 5, and he came to his grandfather at the time that was the Rebbe, the third Chabad Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek. His name was Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Lubavitch. And he came home and he said to his grandfather, Zaidi, he started to cry. He says, "Is everything okay? Did anyone do something to you in school?" He said, "Everything is okay, but I learned today in school that Hashem revealed himself to Avraham Avinu. And that doesn't sound fair. I also want Hashem to reveal himself to me. Why did Hashem reveal himself only to Avraham Avinu? What was the great zechut? What was the great merit that Avraham did to earn the fact that Hashem should reveal himself to him?" And his grandfather brought him close, and he gave him a hug and said to him as follows. I'll tell you why Avraham Avinu merited to have the revelation from Hashem. The reason is because a Jew, at the age of 99, he makes a decision to make a circumcision. That is something which deserves and is worthy that Hashem should reveal himself to him. So let's try to, since this is a Farbrengen cafe, let's try to dissect the story for a moment. Let's try to understand the question, and let's try to understand the answer. The question, why did Hashem reveal himself to Avram? Well, the question was asked by a little child. Why is it so important to understand the question? And the answer is because, first of all, this child was a pure child and asked a good question. But second of all, this child ended up becoming a Rebbe years down the line. And so even though he was, quote unquote, a small child, everything that is connected with the Torah and knowledge of such a child is worth understanding in greater depth. What did the Rebbe Rashab ask his grandfather, the Tzemach Tzedek? Why did Hashem reveal himself to Avram? and to me he did not reveal himself. We learn from here something very, very powerful. L'chaim. We learn from here that a Jew has to desire revelation of godliness in this world. If we see in the Torah, Vayera Hashem al Avram, Hashem revealed himself to Avram Avinu, and Avram saw Hashem, whatever that means, but I'm sure that is literal, then that right away needs to call out by us, needs to demand by us, that we should also desire such a revelation. The Torah is not a fairy, not a fairy. The Torah is not a storybook. The Torah is a book of laws, Hora'ah, the book of mitzvahs. If the Torah chooses to teach us something which doesn't seem at first glance to be a mitzvah of any sort, then there must be a lesson, a hora'ah for us in our lives. And if the Torah teaches us that Vayera Hashem al Avram, that Hashem revealed himself to Avraham Avinu, then that means that we have to also desire to have such a revelation from Hashem. And that means that if we know that Mashiach is coming, then it has to be a desire for us. We have to yearn for such an opportunity, such a moment that Hashem should reveal himself to us. Once I spoke to a person that didn't seem religious, and I asked him to put on tefillin. He put on tefillin, and we schmoozed. And I told him, you know what? When Mashiach comes, all we're going to do is we're going to learn Torah all day. We're going to know Hashem. We're going to learn more and more about Hashem. So he said to me, my dear friend, it doesn't really interest me to know about Hashem. Okay, it's nice. There's a God. But that's all I want to do all day is to learn Torah? What's about my business? What's about my connections, my family, my neighbors, my friends? I told him, when Mashiach comes, then we're going to want it. Then it's not going to be a foreign thing to us. This is something that we're going to want more and more. The reason why we don't want this now, so to speak, or why a person may not want it, is because we don't appreciate it right now at this time. But Bezrat Hashem, when Mashiach comes very soon, we are going to want. This is going to be with our entire heart and soul. That's all we're going to want. As the Rambam says, Ladat et Hashem bilvad, only to know Hashem. And every moment is going to be more and more, deeper and deeper levels of knowledge of Hashem, because Hashem is Ein Sof. And so therefore, when we learn about Vayera Hashem al Avraham, that Hashem revealed himself to Avraham, right away that has to be our desire. We have to want to see godliness. We have to desire to see Hashem. That's number one. That's number one of the lesson that we can learn from the beginning of this week's parsha. But then there's the response from the Tzemach Tzedek. What did the Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek, the grandfather of the Rebbe Rashab, the story took place approximately in the 1860s, approximately. Yes, in the 1860s. What did the Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek, what did he respond to his young grandchild? He responded as follows. He said, if a Jew at the age of 99 makes a decision to do a Brit Milah, a circumcision, he is worthy that Hashem should reveal himself to him. What the Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek, really responded was as follows. He said, you want to see Hashem? Hashem is in the practical mitzvahs. Someone that makes a decision at such an advanced age to do such a difficult mitzvah, but mainly a practical mitzvah, then that person is worthy of a revelation of godliness. What does that mean? That sometimes we look for holy, lofty, remote things which will uplift us, and we feel holy, we feel high, but it's not necessarily connected to practical mitzvot. Then we have to realize that it's wonderful to be inspired, and I will never discourage someone from doing something which inspires them. But if you want Hashem to reveal himself to you, you have to do the mitzvahs. You have to do the practical, pragmatic mitzvot. Avraham Avinu took it to a very, very far level. He did the hardest mitzvah, but before then he did every other mitzvah in the book. But he waited, only one mitzvah. He waited to receive the command from Hashem. Every other mitzvah he did without being commanded. He learned the Torah all day, and he knew the mitzvot. But when it came to the mitzvah Brit Milah, he wanted to have one mitzvah at least to be commanded from Hashem. And when we do a practical mitzvah, as holy as we may be, and as high as we may try to climb, and catching angels, and it's all wonderful, but it doesn't come anywhere close to doing a mitzvah, a simple mitzvah or a difficult mitzvah that Hashem himself told us. And we have to have a balance of the both. On the one hand, we need to aspire for revelation of godliness in the most literal sense in this world, and the ultimate will be when Mashiach comes. But on the other hand, we have to, if we want to get there, what do we do in order to get there? It's all about the practical mitzvot. I just want to finish off with one amazing story about the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov had a chassid, and the chassid wanted to see Eliyahu Navi. He wanted to have a revelation of it's a great level of revelation of godliness. Eliyahu Navi himself should come. And so he came to the Baal Shem Tov and asked him, said, Rebbe, I've fasted for 40 days and 40, not 40 nights, they wouldn't, but 40 days, and I still didn't see Eliyahu Navi. Please tell me, how can I see Eliyahu Navi? And he said, it's not so important for you. And he came back and he kept on asking the Rebbe with the Baal Shem Tov again and again. And it was before Pesach, and the Rebbe, the Baal Shem Tov, said to him, my dear students, go to the marketplace, fill up 2 big wagons, and take it to a little town next door. At the end of the town, you'll see a shack, and you'll see already a family of who to go to. He says, okay, sure, sounds pretty easy. He goes to the supermarket, and he buys all the stuff, and he knocks on the door. The little child tells the parents that someone's knocking on the door, and they let him in, and he says, I have food for you for the Chag for Pesach. They couldn't believe it. Little children walking around. The family was so poor, they almost had nothing. And he spent the Yontif with them, and then after Yontif, he went back. But he realized he didn't see Eliyahu Navi. So he came back to the Baal Shem Tov, and he said, Rebbe, I did exactly what you asked me to do, but I didn't see Eliyahu Navi. And so the Rebbe smiled and said, do the same thing for the last days of Pesach. Go to the supermarket or to the shuk, fill up 2 big carriages, wagons of food, and go to the same family. And he goes back, he comes to the family, and knocks on the door, and the child looks through the cracks in the window and runs to his mother and he hears the child say, "Mommy, mommy, Eliyahu Hanavi came back for Yontif." And of course, he spent Yontif with them again, but he realized what it means to see Eliyahu Hanavi. We aspire to see godliness, to see tzaddikim, to see Eliyahu Hanavi revealed in our lives. But at the end of the day, what's it all about? Not only spirituality and climbing high and being holy. That's wonderful. But Eliyahu Hanavi is about bringing food to a family. And if you can do that, if you can accomplish that, then you can see Eliyahu Hanavi. You are Eliyahu Hanavi. And you are accomplishing why your neshama is here in this world. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great Shabbat. And we should merit to see Hashem. Vayera Hashem el Avraham. We should merit to see godliness right here in Yerushalayim with the Beit HaMikdash way before Shabbat. All the best. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope to see you on Shabbat as well. Be well.